Thank you very much, Mr. President, and good morning, everybody. I am indeed Karel van Eetvelt. I represent the SMEs in Belgium. I have the honor to be the CEO of the largest SME organization in Belgium, also Vice President of UAPME, is the European SME organization. Maybe to explain you what I do during my days, Mr. Van der Plaats also did it, it's very interesting. Well, I split my time in two. One half is listening to those people where bankers only read the figures of. So I listen to the problems of those people who all run a risky business. Also running a bakery is a risky business, who want to realize their dreams by creating a company, big or small. And the second part is convincing politicians, bankers, trade unions, let's say the public in general, of the importance of these SMEs in creating welfare. So that's what I do daily, and therefore it's also an honor for me to have the opportunity to discuss with you how the banking sector can contribute to long-term growth. I think if you ask the question to me, you answer already this question. I'm convinced that you can do this by supporting and funding as much good SME projects as possible. But I explain this later. You can also ask the question, is the banking sector not willing to do this? I'm sure that's not correct. They are willing to do this. We see this all over Europe. I see this in my own country. If you have a good project, small or big, no problem, a bank will give you the funds to realize this project, but it has to be good, and the definition of good can be different from bank to bank and from country to country. Does this mean that there is no problem? No, there is really a problem. And I think that if you read the last ECB survey on the access to finance, maybe I can go through this. If you read this last SME survey, then you already see that there still is a problem in financing SMEs or bank financing for SMEs. Mario Draghi confirmed recently that the most important reason why SMEs ask less financing, because that's what the bankers say to me. There's no problem. You are the problem, or your members are the problem. They don't ask us anymore for loans. Mario Draghi says maybe that's correct. The first reason is that the customers don't want to spend their money anymore. So say the economic crisis. But the second reason is the problem they have with access to finance. And it's still a very, very important reason. This last survey report, it's very interesting to go through this report, also says that there is still a deterioration of bank loans, although the results are a bit better than in the previous period. And of course, the financing conditions in general are more difficult than for larger companies. And saying this, we can for sure say that these conditions are worse for SMEs than before 2008. This is one of the things I discuss a lot with the banks. And if I say this to them, they say, okay, but you don't want us to make the same mistakes as before 2008. And then I get very angry. And I answer to them very clearly, financing SMEs wasn't the problem before 2008. They weren't the big risks. You made other mistakes, though, so don't tell me this. It's not correct. To prove that this survey is not something that's invented by, I don't know, some professors or something like that, we also have our own surveys and our own discussions. I have the Belgium case here. We do 4 times a year a survey by our own members, and even larger than our own members. I give you the results of the last survey. There we see that the banking problems are still growing. June 2013, 1/3 of our SMEs had a problem with lending by banks. In September last year, it was only 26%. And if you ask what are the problems in Belgium, the problems are that the conditions are more difficult. Not that the interest rates are too high. That's not a Belgian problem. Although it can be a problem in other countries, I bring for you here a slide with some differences in interest rates for short-term bank loans, and there you can see Belgium is a very interesting country to ask a credit or an SME if you can introduce your project, because that's what you have to do. It's better than other countries. I try to attract, of course, other investors to Belgium, but there is a difference between countries, also in conditions to ask a loan. In fact, Greece is the worst country, as you know, for an SME. Germany, Belgium are the best countries when you want a loan from a bank. Okay, maybe just to another time confirm that what we say is correct. Also, Antonio Tajani confirmed that access to finance of SMEs remains very difficult, and maybe it's one of the most important reasons for the current economic downturn. Nevertheless, our banks are our most important partners, and the role of the banking sector in financing SMEs, so also in the long-term growth, is very, very crucial. We are natural partners, and we always have been natural partners. So we don't want to attack our banks. We want to go for the solutions. And if you ask me what are the solutions, what has to be done, I see a lot of things, but I see 4 important things that have to be done. Most of these things are already mentioned. First of all, avoid a new banking crisis. Never back down. That's the first thing you have to do. Also for SMEs. This is very, very important. So better and stronger financial regulation, market regulations are necessary, but in a way they don't increase the cost of SME lending. And this is not this easy. If I look to the implementation of Basel III and the Capital Requirement Directive 4, then I see that the way they are introducing is this: they try to look to avoid the increasement of SME lendings. So for us, it's quite okay. We are quite grateful that some people fought to introduce the famous SME correcting factor, which was mentioned in the introduction. I suppose I was a bit too late. I think this is a very good thing, because it makes SMEs that banks will not have to increase their regulatory capital for small loans to SMEs. So that's a good thing. But we also need a solution for what I say is the other side of the equation, the risk structure in the balance sheets of the banks. We think that the current risk weights for government bonds nor the risk weights for derivatives are adequate. So we think that it's also a good thing that the Basel Committee started to work on this risk weight structure, and we are looking forward to the results of that, and we are of course willing to discuss with all the people who are working on that. Secondly, guarantees by the public sector. I think Europe has improved their efforts on these guarantees by the public sector, and also a lot of countries already did their job. I can only speak for Belgium. If I look to Belgium, we are very happy with the efforts the Belgian government and also the Flemish and Walloon government already did by improving their guarantees. Third is developing alternatives for the, let's say, 100% traditional loan by a bank. If a bank refuses a loan to a small company, you can do 2 things. You can say, okay, this is happening, so no project, or you can go to alternatives. And there are alternatives, and we think it's also a good idea that the European Commission starts to look to these alternatives, maybe to regulate them a little bit. We think about crowdfunding. We see in some European countries, I think the Netherlands, for example, is good. example where crowdfunding is coming up. Also in Belgium, it's coming up right now. You have the possibility to introduce fiscal stimulus packages for individuals that lend money to SMEs. We have such things in some parts of Belgium, in the north part of Belgium, to be honest. In the Netherlands, you have the Tante Agathe lening, I think. We made that the win-win loan. We looked for another term, but it's quite the same. And also fiscal stimuluses for investing in capital. And the fourth thing that has to be done is investing in better relations between banks and SMEs. I give you some Belgian examples. We made a code of conduct between banks and SMEs. We also created what we call a credit mediator. If you have, as an SME, a problem with the bank, if they refuse a loan, you can go to this mediator and he tries to convince the bank he still has to go for this loan. And of course, we also, it's not on my slide, but it's very important, we also have to improve the support to our SMEs themselves, so they can introduce better and better prepared projects. I see every day SMEs introducing projects to banks. I see SMEs with very good ideas, but sometimes with very, very poor projects. So we have to help them to create, to translate and transfer their very good projects in very good ideas in very good projects, so the bank has no reason to refuse the loans. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said in the beginning, we are convinced that SMEs are the best and maybe the only durable way out of this economic crisis. I told you that we are convinced that banks are our natural partners. So if we work together on a good way, that's the best guarantee for long-term economic growth. Thank you very much.